Today we're going to talk about multi-step equations. We're going to solve the equation 1/4 times the quantity x minus 4 equals 3/4 x minus 5. I know that we see fractions and immediately we're like kind of terrified, so I'm going to show you two different ways to solve this problem and you'll get more comfortable with it eventually, or maybe you already are. All right, so the first way is literally just deal with what we have, distribute, and solve. So I'm going to do that over here. I've got 1/4 x equal, 1/4 times the quantity x minus 4 equals 3/4 x minus 5. So distribute 1/4 times x. 1/4 times x is 1/4 x. 1/4 times -4 is -1 equals nothing to do on the right hand side. We've got two different terms that are not the same. Now, like I said, distribute and solve. Here we have variables on both sides of the equation. I'm going to undo the smaller of the variables. I have 1/4 x. That is smaller than 3/4 x. They're both positive. I subtract 1/4 x from both sides. 1/4 x minus 1/4 x is 0. 0 minus 1 is -1. And on the right side, 3/4 x minus 1/4 x is 2/4 x, right? 3/4 minus 1/4 is 2/4 x. Minus 5 still there. Then I have a two-step equation at this point. Add 5 because I have a -5. -1 plus 5 is 4. Equals my 2/4 x, because 5 and -5 are 0. So I have 2/4 x plus 0, which is 2/4 x. Some of you might be thinking already, 2/4, I should reduce that. I really didn't reduce it, but you could, right? It would maybe make it the same amount of steps, just smaller numbers. So now I've got 4 equals 2/4 x. And I've got to eliminate my denominator of the fraction. So it's being divided by 4, so I multiply both equations by 4. And because of that, I eliminate my 4 in the denominator and the numerator. When I multiply by 4, it's like 4/1. And same thing here, I multiply by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And I'm left with 2x when I cancel out my 4's. Then I divide by 2. And 16 divided by 2 is 8. So x equals 8. How do I know? Well, I could always plug it back into both parts and get that it is a true statement if I did these steps right. Now, I told you I'll give you two ways to do this, right? The first way, we just distribute and we solve. Make sure you have that down before you move on. Start looking at this second way. So here's my second way. I'm going to actually eliminate that fraction. So eliminating that fraction might make life a little easier for a lot of us who don't like fractions, right? My denominator for both fractions is the same, so I don't even have to think. All I have to do is multiply everything by that denominator. So multiply by 4, everything. So I've got 1/4, this whole thing, right? I have to multiply the whole thing by 4. So 4 times 1/4 times x minus 4. 4 times 1/4 times x minus 4. Well, because of this being all multiplication, I just multiply 4 times 1/4, and that is 1. And x minus 4 doesn't get addressed because it's not a distributive property. You're just multiplying by the whole side. Here on the right side, I have to multiply by the whole side. So I'm actually going to distribute 4 times 3/4 x. Well, that's 4 divided by 4. They cancel. You're left with 3x. And 4 times -5, which is -20. So hey, look, now we're here. I've got 1 times x minus 4. These cancel. Equals 3x minus 20, because these cancel, and 5 times 4 is 20. Cool. Now, 1 times x is 1x, or just x. 1 times -4 is -4. And now we're here at this purple, and we've got variables on both sides. So I've got to look which is smaller, x or 3x. They're both positive. My x is really like a 1x. So I subtract 1x from both sides, and I'm left with -4. You got to look in really closely here. negative 4 equals 2x minus 20, right? And then I add 20 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 20 is 16. 16 equals 2x. Hey, that leaves us right over here. 16 equals 2x. Divide by 2 and x equals 8. So please write that again for yourself. I lost space. Your notebook shouldn't have. All right, so this was multi-step equation solving it 2 ways when we're given a fraction. You can always rewatch this video if you're struggling on this topic. Now, my next problem I'm going to solve has decimals. And again, I'm going to show you 2 ways. So I have x plus 0.7 equals 1 minus 0.2x. So the first way is it's a 2-step, there's variables on both sides, so I've just got to literally move the smaller variable over. My x and my negative 2x, which is smaller, well, this is 1x, right? And this is negative 0.2x, so that's smaller, so I undo my negative by adding it 0.2x to both sides. Remember, pause the video at any point. Okay, so when I add 0.2x to both sides, 1x plus 0.2x is 1.2x. You're adding 1 whole plus 0.2. Remember how to add decimals. Line up those decimals. All right, so 1 plus 0.2x is 1.2x. The rest comes down. 0.7 equals 1, right? Which is also written as 1.0. And these will cancel because 0.2x and negative and a positive are 0, and you're left with just that number there, which is 1. Now, I subtract 0.7 from both sides, and a 1 minus 0.7 is like 1.0 minus 0.7, which is 0.3. So then I'm left with here, 1.2x equals 0.3. Divide both sides by 1.2. Those will turn into 1, and 1x is x. And 0.3 divided by 1.2 is 0.25. Okay? Now I'm going to show you, it might be a couple more steps because this time we're going to eliminate the decimal. Eliminate decimal. And we got to look at the place value. How many place values out are we in the equation? There's a tenths place here and a tenths place here. So all I have to do is multiply by 10. If we were out to the hundredths place, you would need to multiply by 100, and everything's got to get multiplied just like the last problem. So I have x plus 0.7. That has to get multiplied by 10. And I have 1 minus 0.2x. That has to get multiplied by 10. So when I do that, I do 10 times x. That's 10x. 10 times 0.7, that's 7. Why did I do that? Well, to eliminate the decimal. If I still have a decimal, that kind of defeats the purpose here. 10 times 1 is 10, and 10 times negative 0.2x is negative 2x. And now a variable's on both sides, which is smaller, 10 or negative 2. Those are my x's. Well, negative 2 is smaller, so I add 2x to the opposite. 10x plus 2x is 12x, plus 7 equals 10. 2x minus 2x, or negative 2x plus 2x, is 0 because of them being opposite pairs. Then I subtract 7 from both sides. I get 12x equals 3. Divide by 12. X then equals 3/12, which can reduce to 1/4. And hey, 1/4 is equal to 0.25. 1/4 is 0.25. Wonderful.